All right, America has just invaded Venezuela. Yeah. And President Trump, well, he brought up during the first conference something called the Monroe Doctrine. So let's talk about it. The Monroe Doctrine, not the invasion. Well, by the early 1820s, Spain's empire in the Americas had collapsed. Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, and Venezuela, and much of Central America had broken free after centuries of colonial rule. But their independence was fragile, to say the least. Across Europe, the great monarchies were actually regrouping. Russia had begun claiming territory down the Pacific coast of North America. France had sent about 100,000 troops into Spain to restore the monarchy. And the powerful Holy Alliance, Russia, Austria, Prussia, and France, well, they openly discussed restoring royal rule wherever revolutions had broken out. Well, Latin America looked like the next target. In 1823, Britain proposed a joint warning to Europe. British Foreign Secretary George Canning, well, he urged the United States to stand with Britain and declare that the Americas were closed to European reconquest. Well, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, well, they urged President James Monroe to accept the offer. But Secretary of State John Quincy Adams, well, he didn't agree. He refused. America, Adams argued, must speak for itself, not as Britain's junior partner. So Monroe made a bold statement and a bold move. On December 2nd, 1823, he delivered a message to Congress declaring that the American continents were no longer open to European colonization. Any attempt by a European power to control or oppress the nations of the Western Hemisphere would be considered a hostile act against the United States. At the same time, Monroe promised that America would stay out of Europe's wars and political struggles. And it was a stunning declaration, especially since the U.S. Navy was pretty tiny and could not enforce it by itself. But the warning actually worked. European powers hesitated. Britain's powerful navy quietly supported the policy. And the Western Hemisphere remained free from recolonization. The Monroe Doctrine drew a line across the Atlantic. Europe would rule the old world. America would defend the new. A young republic had claimed an entire hemisphere and dared the empires of the world to cross it. And by the way, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks.